Alrighty, another weekday, another video. So heading out from work, good old little lift and cardio session midday. Just trying to stave off eating a little bit so I could have a little bit more food spread out throughout my day. Made the big mistake of during that period having my Coke Zero, because apparently that gave me a little increase in my insulin, a big old drop in my blood glucose, and felt a little hypoglycemia. And I'm like, oh shit, that's a big old headache. So had to go. Luckily, we had little off his birthday last week, so had half a cupcake. Wasn't even that great, but at least it cured the headache, got my blood glucose up a little bit. So adding a little bit more carbs throughout my day to this cut. But we're rolling. We're only about 5 pounds below where we need to be. Fucking dumbass is honking as the light just turned green and he's 5 people back who fucking hate people. But yeah, we're in a good place with this cut. I just need to, not go hypoglycemic and pass out. So a little more carbs, which means I can go home, cook some rice, do all that shit. It's gonna be good. Started making these little, basically oat pancake things. Been a game changer. Turning all my protein powders throughout the day into pancakes, homemade, little do-it-yourself protein pancake mix. It's been a big plus. Yeah, big plus. Highly recommend it. So, getting into the real shit that you 2 or 3 people actually want to hear me rant about. So, ever since literally, like, probably one of my first days in the gym, I have only heard tripod foot, tripod foot, tripod foot. Dig your heel, your pinky metatarsal, and your big toe metatarsal into the ground. Create that tripod with your foot. Dig your toes down. Basically just have every single ounce of your foot creating tension into the ground as hard as you can, with the goal of then having more stability, all those good things, being able to squat deeper, squatting stronger, digging those feet in, creating more torque at the knee. A bunch of reasons that, again, for the first couple years of training, first couple years of coaching, you don't question a single thing you hear. It's like, oh shit, Kelly Starrett says I gotta do this, Squat University says I gotta do this. All right, fuck, guess I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm not gonna question these experts. Then you Dunning-Kruger yourself, and after a while you get to the other side of that curve and you're like, oh, these people are fucking stupid. Why are we just espousing this information just because they say it? Like, they don't know that much. Granted, they're doctors, they're fairly smart people, but you get stuck in your little echo chamber. So here is me to help break you out of this echo chamber that I was stuck in for so long. So, the overall giant idea for having that tripod foot, digging your toes into the ground, is to create more balance. The thing here is, if you are off balance, and I coach Olympic weightlifting alongside the Army, but my deep in my heart is Olympic weightlifting. We're going to talk about it from the perspective of the snatch, the clean, the jerk, the squat, all that. So if we are trying to snatch, let's say 90%, let's say we're trying to snatch 100 kilos, and you get pulled forward right off the bat into your toes a little bit. 100 kilos is pulling you forward. How strong do you think your fucking toes are that you're going to be able to push yourself back just by digging your toes into the ground? I can tell you, your 10 toes, if you have all 10, you didn't lose them in some freak accident, your 10 toes are not going to be able to produce a collective amount of 101 kilos of force. That's just ridiculous. Obviously, we have to do more force than what's pulling us forward, otherwise we're just out of balance. If we want to overcome that, we need to produce more than that 100 kilos that we're trying to lift off the ground. So it is highly unlikely that just your toes, your 10 total toes, will be able to produce more than that 100 kilos, more than whatever that barbell weighs of force to push you back and make up for getting pulled forward. So at the end of the day, digging your toes in the ground is not going to keep you more stable. It may placebo you into feeling more stable because you feel more tension throughout your body. More tension throughout your body does typically equal more stability. But just feeling stable and that stability actually being beneficial are two different things. You can grit your teeth and that is more tension. But are you really any more stable gritting your teeth? Well, maybe, but probably not a whole lot. Nothing meaningful. Same thing with your toes. Like, your toes are not producing anywhere near enough force to actually have any meaningful impact on your lifting or on the trajectory of the barbell. So then, how do we actually fix this? Fix the issue that digging our toes and that tripod foot is trying to solve? Well, it all is just a matter of better balancing your center of mass. If we are doing a snatch and from the floor to above the knee, every single time we do that movement, every single time we go through that first pull, we get pulled forward onto our toes, well, it's our fucking setup. We need to then better set up our center of mass to be able to manage those forces. If we're only getting pulled forward, we may need to start a little bit more back so that we don't get pulled back, or we may even need to just change our setup completely so we don't get pulled forward at all. So managing the forces of our center of mass from that start position. If we are in a position where top of the knee, so that second pull, top of the knee to the hip, we are doing the snatch and our hips are just way going forward, we're going on our toes, it's not a matter of, oh, you just need a tripod foot. You just need to dig your damn toes in the ground as hard as you can until your fucking plantar fasciitis is cramping up on you. No, that's not gonna do shit like we already covered. You need to, at that above the knee position, probably shift your knees back a little bit and have a little bit more of your center of mass shifted over your shoelaces over that front of the heel area. Simply because we have that center of mass back a little bit more, you can transition your knees under, get to that vertical torso position, get to that power position, and still have your whole foot on the ground, simply because we manage your center of mass better. It has nothing to do with the amount of force being inputted from the toes. It has everything to do with you are just shit at managing your center of mass and you're blaming it on your foot strength. Your foot is pretty important for a lot of things. It is our main contact of application of force into the ground. Really, in any sport we are doing, the vast majority of movements come from our feet. So feet are very important, but it is extremely oversimplified, extremely just like not very well thought out to think that you are going to make any significant difference in restructuring your center of mass by pushing your toes down. Because again, 10 toes is not going to overcome 100 kilos of force or whatever it is. Like 90% of your 1RM is not going to be overcome. And if we're talking about squatting, fuck, you're squatting 250. You think your toes are going to be able to push you back if you're coming forward out of the hole with fucking 250? Fuck no, it ain't. No, I don't care how big fucking giant-ass bratwurst toes you got. Your bratwurst toes ain't doing shit if you got 250 on your back. We need, every single thing goes back to your center of mass. Center of mass is king. We need to create better movers, and better movers are those athletes, those people, those whatever, who can better manage their center of mass. Your center of mass is going to dictate everything. What is the only way we can have any sort of locomotion? What is the only way we can walk forward? Well, it's by manipulating our center of mass and moving that center of mass forward. Boom, now we're walking. Every single thing comes back to just simply how well can we control and maintain our center of mass throughout a variety of positions. That's all weightlifting is maintaining a solid center of mass throughout the entire movement. And again, your toes aren't going to do that. Honestly, like, let's talk about the squat. I've seen this thought a lot from Angus Bradley, so shout out to Angus, I think Australian coach. That tripod foot and digging your feet into the ground may actually be counterproductive to you reaching a full depth squat. If you are creating so much downward force, how are your hips supposed to sink down? If we're pushing the ground away from us, but we're trying to go down, how the hell is that going to work? You're creating so much tension in the muscles that need to yield. So you're creating an overcoming sensation, a concentric action in muscles that need to yield and muscles that need to be eccentric. So they need to lengthen. You're creating that overcoming, that shortening motion where we need to lengthen. So if you have an issue in your squat depth in any movement, whether it's squat, snatch, clean, whatever it may be, and you're creating that tripod foot, you're digging your toes in the ground, you may be shooting yourself in the foot. Good little, I'm not sure if that's a pun there, but hey, we're bringing this all back to the foot. You're shooting yourself in the foot if you're digging that foot down. So what you need to do, let your fucking feet relax. Control your center of mass. Your center of mass can be controlled from your hips, because that's really like belly button area is roughly where your center of mass is. So if we can better control our center of mass from our hips, from our torso, really from that entire quote unquote core area, then we don't need to try to fix it from our toes. Because again, our toes should not be our main driver in managing our center of mass. That comes from our hips, our core area. That toe should be like a very, very, very last resort for maintaining our center of mass, because there's not enough muscle there to really do anything. Like same way, like you're not gonna bench like this, well, because now your prime mover, the main thing trying to create the joint action here, is our rotator cuff. Well, our rotator cuff should be a last resort for producing the main amount of force in that position, because it just does not have the same ceiling of force production capabilities that the chest, that the fucking pectoralis, the pectorals, your chest muscles, can produce. At the end of the day, your tripod foot, digging your feet in the ground, whatever you want to call it, however you want to think about it, should be a last resort measure to try to maintain your center of mass. That should be, I am so far gone, we just got to try anything we can to try to save this lift. That's not going to be the primary way of maintaining your center of mass. Again, that's going to come from your setup. That's going to be coming from your ability to manage your hips, manage your body, manage your center of mass in space. So stop digging your toes in the ground. Again, especially if you struggle with getting into a full depth squat, you should probably relax your feet a little bit more, try to flatten your arch even a little bit more, and really let your body yield. Let your body take on that eccentric movement where you are sinking down instead of always being so tight, so short, and so overcoming. Because again, then you're just fighting against yourself. If you're fighting against yourself, because again, you're creating so much tension into the ground, then what the fuck are you doing? So relax a little bit, let your body do the movement it wants to do. Stop trying to fight against that movement. That's all I got for you. Fuck the tripod foot, fuck your feet. We're gonna go on, fuck Squat University, fuck Kelly Starrett for all of that fucking foot stuff. Great knowledge between the two of them. Like, again, they're very smart people. Don't agree with everything they have to say. So, like, the fuck them is a very large over-exaggeration here. Just trying to really fill a little bit of time right before I get to my parking spot here. But that's all I got. Stop digging your feet into the ground.